I hated Zelda Breath of the Wild when it first came out, with flaw after flaw being pointed out to me by a vast majority of video essays out there, which I chronically consume. I couldn't help but recognize so many issues and feel so superior that yes, I am just built different for disliking a game that most people like. The thing is, I was definitely wrong with those thoughts. Sure, the flaws are real, but they don't ruin the game for me as they once did, as I've explored different ways to enjoy Hyrule. Let's talk about that, and how I came to love this Zelda masterpiece as my favorite, even if it is very unique. You know what I had to start with, the weapon durability breaking. This angered me beyond belief on release, because who would design a game where you're punished for fighting stuff? Like, in most games, you see an enemy, you kill the enemy, you get XP, you get a bit of gold, and then you move on. Yay, let's go. But in Breath of the Wild, you kinda don't want to do that most of the time. Your items breaking makes using good weapons a meh strategy versus open world mobs, as you will almost guaranteed get worse stuff from them every single time when you kill them past the early game. And as well, the economy doesn't give you that much great stuff to buy either, as you get more rupees. As time has gone by though, I've come to realize that for me, this game is just different. The random enemies all around are less to grind versus and more to just kinda have fun messing around with. They're there to be murdered if you want to kill if you want to, but you don't need to kill them. You don't need to grind on the enemies, and in many ways, I feel like that is a little bit freeing. And when a big enemy or a really cool looking item is out there, then of course, go out, kill stuff, get it, but otherwise, the bad dudes are just kind of chilling there while I explore, and I think that's really fine too, in creating a much more relaxed atmosphere, which this game has compared to basically all other open world games. Other open world games taught me how to play Breath of the Wild in the wrong way. Link's power level in this game can, for example, fluctuate a lot more than characters in most other games. Usually in an open world game, you'd have very small continual growth. 5% damage here, 3% cooldown reduction there, kind of going that ways, as you level up from quest to quest, going from quest marker to quest marker. Here in Breath of the Wild, it's not like that at all. There are just these gigantic jumps in power from weapons or armor or the abilities of the champions, and it's just so different. And in many ways for me, I feel like it is so magical when you pick up a broken wand for the first time and feel like an adventurer in an old tale, finally finding something truly of value that changes the entire way you're going to be playing the game for a while. I think Breath of the Wild takes a real mind shift, that this really isn't a traditional RPG game. You're given all the tools to win and beat the final boss from the very start, and since I have so many other options for more traditional open world RPG games like Skyrim already, I can appreciate what this game brings. The second huge issue that everyone talked about when Breath of the Wild came out was eating food, indefinitely during battles. How it broke all of the combat, because yeah, if you're at full HP, then most stuff can't one-shot you. So really to win in this game, you just get into combat, eat food, and then you win. And again, yeah, if you do play the game in a way where you are just constantly chomping down on food, and if you also want a challenge, well, you simply won't get one in Breath of the Wild. And if you're like me on my first run, well, yeah, you just can't do that and enjoy the game in that way. But you can just not do that. And mainly, once I realized that it was the player's choice for how they want to interact with healing, I didn't mind it nearly as much anymore. Maybe Elden Ring like Flax would have been better in this game, where you have to run around and then heal, and then, get out of combat to heal a bit more, or maybe they would have just really frustrated casual players for getting comboed hit to hit to hit like in Elden Ring. Of course, the combat isn't nearly as, aggressive as that game, but you can kind of get the vibe. In Breath of the Wild, you can make whatever rule you want for healing. You can have no healing. You can have healing only when you're really far from an enemy, or you can have no rule at all and chomp down whenever you want to. And I think playing how you want, again, is kind of a key feature of this game. Even if it can be hard for people who just can't help themselves from ruining their own desire for a challenge by eating all the time, which I definitely say can be a flaw of the game if you let it be. Continuing from that previous point, one of the most frustrating things about Breath of the Wild is that this game requires a lot of self-balancing if you want to not break its challenge. If you make a max-leveled armor set, you basically just become invincible. And if you eat max-level potions or food, you kind of also become a god. And it's difficult because, well, on your first playthrough of this game, you just don't know that that's how this game's going to work. So maybe even by accident, you'll accidentally dissipate the challenge of this game completely. And that can really only be reignited on a second or third playthrough with a bit more strict rules. On the opposite end of the coin though, as a positive, this means that everyone can beat this game. Everyone can feel broken at some point and find out one way out of many ways to how they can personally defeat Ganon even if they aren't the very best at games. And I think that's one of the big reasons why so many casual players love Breath of the Wild, even if it can be very frustrating to people who again want a challenge. Dungeons were another giant talking point for this game and why it just sucks, why people don't like it at all. They are small. Where are the huge multi-level monstrosities that I could dig my teeth into for hours that were in all previous Zelda games? games. They aren't really in this game. And when I first played Breath of the Wild, I felt that exact same way playing through the game. But as time has gone by, I think I've come to grown to appreciate the Divine Beasts in a different way. They're really small, quick to do, and I think for a good reason, which is that this game isn't really about hopping from dungeon to dungeon to dungeon like a game like Twilight Princess is. It's about being free and going anywhere and doing anything you want to in like 30 minutes because you're taking your Switch around with you. And I think it would be so weird to just be exploring the world, going around wherever you want for hours, and then boom, now you're stuck in this one pretty small area for a really long time. I will say, I do miss big dungeons, but I don't hate these existing anymore in Breath of the Wild. And as well, if I really want those dungeons, I can play the older games. You can add this all to the fact that I think the Divine Beasts just fit the feel of the world in Breath of the Wild so well. They also fit in with the Guardians, and they just, let's be honest, really felt like they were missing in Tears of the Kingdom. I wanted them back. And that's just one of those things that just sometimes you don't know what you have until it's gone. Not saying that the Divine Beasts were perfect, as they did come with a big price, mainly being, for me, key items. And I think this was definitely the right way to go, because you do have to be able to go to the Divine Beasts in any order. But it still would have been cool to pick up items like the hookshot. And while that definitely would have broken the climbing a bit, unless you just make very few surfaces climbable, key items were so sick. Even if the dungeons are small, there still is a lot of content in this game. A lot of content. Maybe even too much content. The perfect example is going to be Korok seeds, which you kind of have to be like clinically insane and probably look up a guide if you want to get these all. But again, I don't think you need to. And I think a good amount of the content in Breath of the Wild is made to be scanned, played for a little bit, and then once you get bored, move on to a new area. If this game actually made you play all of it and complete everything in every area before you went to Ganon, made you grind up every area and level up to beat it, man, this game would be really rough. But as it is, you can play what you want in Breath of the Wild, go to the areas that you think are cool, get powerful pretty quick, and then end it whenever you want to. And I feel like most of the content in Breath of the Wild is actually optional, but is also mostly a lot of fun. If you get bored in an area, just leave and find something amazing somewhere else. One of those fun aspects of this game that I really didn't appreciate my first time playing was the climbing in Breath of the Wild. And while I was playing, it was so annoying to not be able to reach where I wanted to go at all times. And I just wanted to be able to climb as much as I wanted to right away from the get-go. But I think at this point that there are two main benefits from this climbing system made in the way that it is. One is that you do have to try other paths in a lot of cases, where you might accidentally run into another adventure and find something cool that you weren't really going to find otherwise. And two, all the shrines are made to feel like they really matter, since climbing stamina is just your easiest access to everything in this game. And it's really the thing that I think matters the most, so it makes that actually completing those shrines feel like it really, really matters. Playing through Tears of the Kingdom and seeing all the different potential systems that you could use instead of climbing made me realize how important just having stamina was to Breath of the Wild, where you couldn't cheese everything with a rocket shield or a flying machine or anything like that. Breath of the Wild was just so refined and so simple in its mechanics, and climbing higher and higher and higher as a reward for doing basically everything else has to be one of the easiest showcases of that. One of the biggest ways that I had to change how I was playing this game was going from someone that simply wanted to finish the game to someone who wanted to slowly enjoy it, taking the vistas, the handcrafted nature of this kingdom, and just everything before me. I think that there's really no better way to put this into words with how I interacted with the game than with how I interacted with the music. Before this game came out, I wanted a ton of bangers like Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess, and I wanted my ears to ring with fast-paced melodies as it went from place to place to place. And, like the gameplay, this game doesn't really do that. You have a few really extreme bangers like the cast theme, but mostly there's a lot more slow, somber music, and that's okay that it's different. I realized that maybe it would be annoying to hear the same thing blasting for 200 hours as I'm just adventuring aimlessly, and maybe this game won't be playing the same. It's less of a focus on this exact moment and more of a focus on the adventure as it slowly unfolds. And maybe that's good too, even if it does make for a lot less good lo-fi songs later on that I can add on to my Spotify playlist. With the release of an enhanced 4K version of Breath of the Wild in our future, I ask you that if you didn't like this game on your first go, please give it another chance. Take it slow, enjoy the ambiance, and use the systems how you want to use them. And if you feel like you're abusing something and it's completely broken, then don't use that system. Don't spam Flurry Rush if you feel like it beats every single problem in combat. Just play the way you want to. Or if you do want to use these systems and do want to abuse it, also don't feel bad, because I know some people do. I love Breath of the Wild now, after a lot of complaints and a lot of years. So I hope that you can grow to enjoy this game as well. Breath of the Wild, of course, like any game, won't be for everyone, and I couldn't cover nearly every issue that everyone had with this game, but the final thing that I've been learning through this time is that sometimes you should just play the game. Don't worry about every criticism, even if they are true, and just enjoy the fun and the art that is laying before you. If you think I've been a bit too forgiving of Breath of the Wild in this video, well, I have another video here talking about Tears of the Kingdom and discussing why for me it flopped just a little bit. Now, maybe my opinion on that game will change over time, that is very likely as well, but for now, I hope you can enjoy that discussion and let me know your own feelings about these games in the comment section down below. I'm just talking about open world Zelda games, what you love and what you dislike. With all that said, I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.